He reigns, he reigns, he reigns. Power of his love, he reigns, he reigns, he reigns.
Welcome to the Power of Love with Leslie Sharon Kiwobo. Leslie is a woman of big faith, believing deeply that with God at her right hand, all things are possible. And for you too. Join us as we talk about the ways we can live a life that is pleasing to God, while raising awareness on topics ranging from the foundations of a relationship with God to self-love, marriage, motherhood, and so much more. We are so glad you're here to join in on the conversation. Here's your host, author, speaker, and believer, Leslie Sharon Kiwobo.
Hi guys, I'm so glad to be here today. I must say, after a long break, I really miss coming live. I've been working on so many things and I really had to step back for a while to recharge my batteries and to refresh my mind a little. I hope that my previous messages are still planted in your head and that you've been able to apply them in your own life. The biggest fear of change is the fear to fail. You can't fail what you haven't tried, and even if it hasn't worked at once first try, it doesn't mean it never will. Certain failures can make you stronger. Be bold and persevere. Be a go-getter. Don't back down at the slightest inconvenience. Last time we spoke about the value of time and we went more into detail on the different seasons. Today, I'd like to follow up on this topic and get a little more into time itself. You must know by now that as a writer myself, I enjoy to read books as well. I came across a quote from the French novelist Marc Levy, which I found very interesting and I'd like to share with you today. It goes like this. If you want to know the value of time, just ask a student who failed a course. If you want to know the value of a month, ask the mother who gave birth to a premature baby. If you want to know the value of a minute, ask the person who just missed the bus. If you want to know the value of 1 second, ask the person who just escaped death in a car accident. If you want to know the value of 100 of a second, ask the athlete who won a silver medal in Olympics. This just reminds me again that sometimes we live our lives without actually valuing our time. We forget that times and circumstances constantly change. If we look at the book of Colossians, chapter 4, verse 5, I will be reading the New International Version. It is said, "Be wise in the way you act toward outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity." The part "make the most of every opportunity" emphasizes on improving the way you spend time here on earth, but also to avoid wasting time on things that can lead us off track and eventually sin. There's a lot of things we can buy, but you can't buy time. Or pause it like the movies we watch on TV or streaming channels and pick it up back later. It's a non-negotiable and it counts for each and every one of us here on earth. We're unable to turn back at the hand of time. Life is short and it would be best to spend it on things that will help us grow physically and spiritually. Keep growing. Invest in relationships. Enjoy every moment of your life. Learn from your mistakes and move on. Live a life close to God. I want you to ask yourself this question right now. Am I using my time in a way which is pleasing the Lord? Am I walking aligned with my purpose and God's will? That's something to think about. Time is precious. Because of time, we have the opportunity to escape everlasting misery and obtain everlasting blessing and glory. As I said earlier, time is very short. Let me give you a scripture here. It's in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 14. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Time is precious because it's uncertain. Look at how our lifestyles have been reinvented with the current circumstances with the pandemic. Who would have thought this last year, at the beginning of the year, or even 2 years ago? Once it's gone, you can't get it back. You can lose a job, a house, money, and so on. You'll still have a chance to get it back one way or another. So the real question is, how should we spend our time? Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. This is what Paul said in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord. Don't forget to take note of the scriptures, and if you want to go in detail, link with me. Jesus said in the book of John, chapter 9, verse 4 to 5, as long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Do you know what Jesus meant with day and night? When you go to verse 5, he says, while I am in the world. He taught his disciples that he had a limited period of time. And Jesus didn't only say, I must. He said, we. He included us in his statements. In other words, what's true for Jesus, it's true for us. There's a limited period of time in which to accomplish the works that God has given us to do. On that same note, my time is also running. I will leave you at this point to digest what we've discussed so far, and I can't wait to elaborate more on this next week. I hope this message has been a blessing to you. Sending you lots of love. Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Power of Love with Leslie Sharon Kiwobo. We are so glad you've joined us. Connect deeper with Leslie. You can find her on Facebook by searching Leslie Sharon Kiwobo or at www.lesliesharonkiwobo.com. Her new book, My Declaration of Love, is available now. It is intended to encourage you and to stir a burning desire within your heart to seek God, to trust God, and let Him take care of you. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so we can reach more people and so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, we are with you in your continued pursuit for freedom with God.